This is Ben.
And this is Jeremy.
And you listen to Small Town Stoics. So while I get situated here, I'm going to let Jeremy fill you in on this week's topic stuff.
Well, we're just going to dig in here. I mean, we're big on sports and pop culture, so what better way to blend the two than sports movies? So,
now, I was really glad you suggested this topic too, because the last few podcasts, just because of the current events going on, have been real heavy and deep.
oh yeah,
And which was not our intent when we started this podcast. I mean, we were going to have those discussions we do, but we didn't want that to be the only thing we ever did.
well, those topics need to be talked about, and they fell right in our lap.
They did.
And
They did.
And it got hairy. So this is a way to lighten it up a little. So what we've done is each of us have compiled 10 fictional athletes of all time, not the movies. You know,
Yeah, no, that's important on my list.
not even necessarily the star of the movie or TV show or whatever we're talking about. Our favorite athlete from that. So like our 10 favorite fictional athletes of all time. So how about you start with your number 10 and then talk a little bit about it, or how do you want to do it?
Well, before we get started, I've got 2 honorable mentions.
Okay.
I went back and forth on these 2, wanting to put them on my list and just couldn't figure out who to get off.
Okay.
But Billy Hoyle from White Man Can't Jump, Woody Harrelson's character.
Oh yeah, Billy.
And which is one of my.
God damn it! I didn't even think of that movie.
Well, and both of these are from my two favorite basketball movies. The other one's going to confuse the shit out of you, but I love the movie. And then Monica Wright, the girl basketball player from Love and Basketball, who is 1,000 times better baller than her boyfriend is, who ends up playing for the Lakers.
Well, see, I'm pissed because I didn't think about White Man Can't Jump, because the Wesley Snipes character and Billy Hoyle were fucking great, and then not to mention Rosa Perez in that being a Jeopardy freak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that was great. I guess I'll go with my honorable mentions. I went with Boobie Miles from Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
The running back that blew his knee out.
Yeah.
Dude had swag and was a bad motherfucker until it all came down. And then my other honorable mention, and I went back and forth on this because I'm sure this dude probably made your list. But for me, it was Jesus Shuttlesworth on He Got Game. And the reason I didn't do it, because the dude's a real fucking athlete. That's Ray Allen.
Yeah, no, man, I love He Got Game, but I don't love Jesus Shuttlesworth. Like, that movie's good because Denzel Washington's great in that movie. Yeah. You know, it's a Spike Lee film. Like, it's a great movie, but he's not it's Ray Allen, so obviously he's a great basketball player.
For sure.
But, like, the character's not one of my favorite
That's
basketball
another thing
characters.
I went back and forth, because it was obviously a guy out of his element.
Yeah.
In the
well,
movie.
I will give him credit. So, the 2 biggest, like, in my mind, basketball characters that were played by NBA athletes are Ray Allen playing Jesus Shuttlesworth, and then Shaq playing.
Don't forget Jordan playing himself.
Jordan playing himself doesn't count. But what's Shaq's character's
Babineau.
name?
The last name is Babineau.
He wears Blue Chips.
Yeah, number 50.
And where Shaq failed and Ray Allen succeeded was Ray Allen looked around and said, I'm a basketball player in a movie, and I've got Spike Lee directing and Denzel Washington. I have Denzel. So he said his lines, he did his parts, and then he let Denzel choose scenery.
Well, the Shaq had
and then Shaq was Shaq. All right. So we'll start with the top 10. So number 10 on my list. This is a pattern in mind, by the way. Is I'm gonna have debated on a movie and 2 characters. I went with Peter LaFleur from Dodgeball, Vince Vaughn's character.
See, I don't really look those as athletes, but okay.
It's a sport. I almost went with Steve the Pirate from Dodgeball, Alan Tudyk's character.
Yeah.
But I ended up going with Peter LaFleur because he's the leader of it, and it's Vince Vaughn. He's got some great scenes. The scene where he talks to the Tour de France winner, Lance Armstrong, did not age well.
No.
But the movie's great, and I like Peter LaFleur in that movie.
It's been a while since I've seen that one. I was kind of let down by it because everybody in that movie was good except for Ben Stiller. He just pisses me off for some reason. I don't know what it is.
No, I see it. Ben Stiller's
even in Meet the Fockers and shit, he wasn't that good.
He is a lot like Jim Carrey, where like there are certain roles they play where they're just great, and then everything else they're overacting, like they're going too hard.
Yeah, I get that. Okay,
so what's your number 10?
Voya the Destroyer from the show Glow. It's a Netflix show. Gorgeous ladies.
I haven't watched it yet.
Got to watch this motherfucker.
I want to.
All right. Not only is she a fictional athlete, she plays a fictional athlete as a wrestler, and so she's kind of the antagonist. She's the heel.
Okay.
And then this is in the 80s, so this is in the height of the Cold War. The other, she's like a dark-headed. She plays a Russian, and you know the very furry hat with the medals on the front and shit. You know, and she very overpronounces her Russian accent, because she's not Russian at all in the show. And then the hero of this, you know, it's like wrestling. They always have heroes and heels.
What is it, the baby face?
Yeah, the babyface blonde girl is Liberty Bell, Belle, which is a blonde girl, good looking, and all this other shit, and they fight every time. But there's a whole cast of female wrestlers, and see, this is built on an actual wrestling league from the 80s that was women, and it got its own Vegas show and stuff like that. But the shitty thing is Netflix canceled it this year because of all the COVID stuff, so it can't do it. But it's got great actors. I mean, Mark Maron is in it, who really, really admire his work. And then, of course, the chick that plays Voya is fantastic.
Yeah.
Liberty Bell's good, too. But Voya, she's awesome. Yeah. So I went with that.
So before we get too deep into this, I did want to stop one thing. So we had this conversation when we first talked about it. What is the over-under, do you think, knowing how many times you've got him and not knowing how many times I have him, what's your over-under on Kevin Costner roles?
2.5. And I'm actually under that, so.
Okay, I'm gonna go 3. I'm gonna increase it just a bit. I'm gonna go 3.
Okay. Well, I mean, I've only got him once, and I beat the shit out of myself over that too.
I did too. It was very hard for some roles to cut him.
Yeah, I went.
Yeah.
I went real deep.
Kevin Costner has played some iconic.
Oh, for sure. And he's not only being the athlete, but you know, just being around them, like in Field of Dreams and so on. So of course, you know, he wasn't an athlete in that.
Yeah, he's just a farmer now.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, what's your 9?
So number 9 for me is it's probably to be honest, probably one of my only serious role athletes. Maggie Fitzgerald from $1 Million Baby. Hilary Swank's character.
Oh, yeah, the one. Yeah. See,
that's the first sports movie where I was watching that's ever shocked me. Because you know, normally sports movies are feel-good movies. Like, maybe the team the underdog team loses at the end, but it's always a feel-good movie and stuff like that.
You don't break your fucking neck and die.
You're watching that movie and you're like, okay, I got it. She's a boxer. You know, Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman are training her, and you know, it's going to be a feel-good movie about a waitress become, you know, female boxing champion, and then she gets fucking late hit and cracks her neck
on the stool. They put the stool out.
Yes, and then the movie becomes about her trying to get Clint Eastwood to kill her.
Yeah,
because she's paralyzed from the neck down,
and
you're just like, what the fuck did this movie
She was really good too.
Yes,
I mean that was the thing. He didn't want her at first, and she was just turned out to be incredible.
Well, and it wasn't natural, like God-given talent.
No.
Like there's scenes over in that movie where like she's busting tables and like working on her footwork as she's busting tables and shit. Like it was just hard work.
Yeah.
But I love that movie. I don't watch it very often because it's just so fucking heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But I love that movie. And I love how they showed her as a like she got it because she wanted it in hard work and not just because she was just good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, that movie has a really good message too, you know, except toward the end when she's like, you know, treat me like Old Red or whatever the dog's name was.
Man, I get it though. Like,
yeah, you don't want to be a vegetable.
Fuck, you know, if you're laid up, like, I don't know if I can handle it. It'd be very similar conversations.
Oh yeah. No, let's just end it.
Yeah.
So my number 9, I went with Steve Latimer out of the program.
Okay. Yeah.
The Roid Head. That dude. Man, he made that movie for me. You know, the quarterback was the story. As in any football movie, the quarterback is always the hero. But Steve Latimer, you know, he was 80s football.
Yes.
I mean, this movie wasn't made in the 80s. Of course, I think it was like 92, 93-ish, but they were coming off the 80s. This dude was drug-fueled, just a fucking meathead and would just destroy motherfuckers on the football field, and then ram his head through glass and all that other stuff. I really had a hard time though with this number 9 one, between that and Lawrence Taylor's character in Any Given Sunday.
Yeah,
they're basically the same character.
Yeah.
But one was LT and the other one was the guy that played Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
So Leatherface wins out for me.
Yeah. I didn't get any. I don't know if I had any '80s football.
I've got two.
The Any Given Sunday one though.
To me, the coach is the is the star,
and that's what. So, I'm not a huge. Like Jamie Foxx really good in that movie. He's Willie Beeman. But he wasn't gonna make my top 10 favorite fictional athletes. That movie is made by Pacino and the Game of Inches speech.
Yeah.
In the locker room.
Yeah.
Like that whole movie
is
that movie is that scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the Willie Beeman's rap song when he gets famous. But
see that's where it was with me. I was like, and plus LT wasn't a big enough character in there, but I like the defensive guys.
Yeah.
They don't get enough credit.
I would have probably gone with, if I was going to go with a player, it probably would have been LL Cool J.
Yeah.
Or it would have been Dennis Quaid, the old quarterback.
Yeah. Which, you see that one's kind of a take back to what was it, that the Peter Gent book. It was roughly about the Dallas Cowboys. It was
South Dallas.
North Dallas 40. Yeah. And that was that take back to that film, because you had your drughead dude, which was the LT character. Then your cocky running back, which was Willie Beeman and all that shit. So yeah. But no, I went with Steve Latimer because the program was really one of the first football movies I ever got into, and it was kind of a B film because the biggest name in there is James Caan, which was the coach. So, but I just enjoyed that Latimer character because he reminds me of some dudes I know that would just run through fire. They didn't care, and that's the way this guy was. Now, granted, he was a drug addict and a roid head, but that's what made him though, and that simplified that 80s time, because there was no protecting the quarterback rules. They would pick them up over their head, spin them 2 or 3 times, and drive them into the ground. I could see Steve Latimer doing that.
This is sports related, but speaking of protecting the quarterback, did you watch the Chiefs Tampa game this weekend?
I did.
So the play where
Tyreek Hill had a beautiful game.
Man, he had a monster first quarter. But there's a play in the second half. Tampa goes down and scores to get it 17-27. Yeah. And then Kansas City's got the ball back. Mahomes throws the ball. Tampa intercepts it.
Yep.
All right. Well, then they call roughing the passer.
Yeah, and they just touched
on Jason Pierre-Paul.
Just touched him.
If you watch that play, and I get not hitting the quarterback in the head. Of all the...
Yeah, but just grazing the helmet?
Well, and it gets worse on this play. But I'm just saying, I understand that rule. A lot of the other protecting the quarterback's rules, you can't fall on him when you hit him. You got to kind of try to roll him aside.
Even if you're pushed.
You can't control your body and shit like that.
Especially when you're pushed.
But if you watch that play, Jason Pierre-Paul does not hit him in the head. He hits him in the throwing arm as he goes to throw it. But because of Patrick Mahomes' throwing motion, when he hits him in the arm and the follow-through of Mahomes' head, it shoves his arm into his helmet. Because of and they thought I don't usually get irate at stupid calls. I usually that's just dumb and I move on. But if you watch it, he hits him in the arm, and then the follow-through takes his arm into his head. And I just thought it was dumb. Anyways.
Drew Brees would like to have a word.
Oh, man. Fuck. Have we not talked? We'll take a moment because we're going to talk about that shit. So, for those of y'all who don't know, Drew Brees cracked 8 ribs on his left side of his body, deflated his left lung.
And 3 ribs on the other.
Yeah, and cracked 3 ribs on the right side. Came back out and played 3 or 4 plays.
I think he ran 4 plays.
Before they realized, hey, wait, something's wrong.
He was turning blue.
Yeah. We should probably look at him, and they pulled him out and put they put Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston, yeah.
But so I cracked 2 ribs in high school, our senior year, and and tried to play through it in basketball, and would tape my ribs and shit, and it was fucking I was on lots of painkillers.
You got bruising of ribs.
Yeah, and it was I couldn't do anything else in trying to prep to play a high school basketball game.
There's no bone in your body that moves as much as your ribs. Every breath, every word, every sniffle, a laugh, a cough, a sneeze.
No, by Drew Brees going out there and playing 4 plays of an NFL game with 11 cracked ribs and deflated lung, he is officially the dumbest, toughest NFL player to ever play the game.
Yeah.
There's no argument. There's no. It used to be for me Terrell Owens playing on the broke leg in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like a quarterback playing with 11 cracked ribs and a deflated lung.
And knowing that there's 7 guys
trying to hit him again,
coming for you, straight up and down. That is their job.
He has the biggest brass balls in the NFL, and it's not even close.
Well, you got to think though. I mean, adrenaline has to be a big factor in that too, because he was fresh on it. He was probably just a little tense. But think about the next day. When he woke up the next day, that's when he really felt it. Of course, the lung thing.
Well, he was still trying to. He got a second and third opinion.
Oh yeah,
because he was
still wanting to go.
He was hoping to find somebody to clear him to play.
He was still wanting to go.
Drew Brees is officially the toughest quarterback in the NFL, and maybe the toughest player.
Well, and keep in mind he's in his 40s.
Yes, he's like 41 or 42.
So
when I call a player dumb in this situation, like it's the highest form of compliment I can.
Yeah, for sure.
So
all right, so I think we'll be on 8.
So 8 for me is I guess our first Kevin Costner mention of the day, Crash Davis from Bull Durham. His "I Believe" speech is one of my favorite sports. It's not really a speech; it's just like a scene. But his "I Believe" about there being a constitutional amendment against no designated hitters and stuff like that whole movie is just. For me, is what baseball should be.
To me, that's his second best sports film. Not sports film, but where he is the athlete.
Yeah.
Tim Robbins was the pitcher in that, and then Susan Sarandon was the lot lizard essentially.
Yeah.
I really liked the best line he had in that whole movie was "I'm the player to be named later." You know, because you always hear about that shit. It's like, who's the player to be named later? Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the player to be named later. So what do you want? And he constantly fucked. And on a minor league roster, because that's what this was. Durham Bulls is a real team. They are the AAA affiliate of the Tampa Bay Rays. At the time when that was made, I do believe that they belong to Atlanta. I'm not sure. But anyway, keep in mind, folks, that is a real team. It exists today. But in a minor league clubhouse, I can see all that shit going down because you're not getting the best of transportation.
Yeah.
Of course, with the leagues, the way they're set up, it's like high school. They're relatively close. You know, you've got Texas League, Pacific Coast League, so on and so forth. So it's not like they're going cross country like the major league dudes do. So you know, and the transportation budget's low.
Yeah, they're driving cheap buses.
And most of these dudes aren't making but like $100 a game. You know, when you're a 212th round draft pick or some shit.
No, you're just chasing the dream and trying to hold on.
Or you're the player to be named later.
Yeah.
You know, basically, if you can't even be named in the trade, this is who you're going to be. Yeah, I really dug that. And I did not have that movie on my list because it's a great baseball movie, but it wasn't one of my favorites.
I love the interactions with him and the pitcher, like where like you can tell like he's trying to embrace the role of like mentor and coach and teacher and stuff, but at the same time he's like really pissed that he's not the guy making it. Yeah, you know. Yeah. And so the scene where
and Tim Robbins is a dipshit in that movie too. You gotta.
I feel like Tim Robbins is a dipshit in real life.
I think most likely.
And and he kind of plays himself in that movie, like almost Kevin Costner plays himself in that movie. Like, hey, I'm trying to make you a star. Shut the fuck up and let me do it. Yeah. You know, and but the scene where he goes where Tim Robbins keeps shaking him off because he wants to throw the fastball. Yeah. And he goes out there and he's like, I want to show him my heat. And he's like, fine, show me your heat. And he gets back to the plate. And he tells the batter, hey, fastball. And he yanks it, but then the guy like watches it and he goes off on him for showing up. Yeah. Like he goes immediately from like, I'm gonna teach my fucking pitcher a lesson to, hey, run the fucking bases. Yeah. You know, don't show up my pitcher like that.
Oh, but the funny was like, and he goes back out on the mound. It's like he knew it was coming. He did. I told him.
Yeah. He didn't even hide it. He's like, I did. I told him.
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I see it. It's hard to remember all of them, but so my number 8, something that's good. You're gonna I'm going to get a forehead curl over. It's Lucy Draper from Necessary Roughness.
Okay.
The kicker.
Yeah.
She was basically, we had this happen this weekend with that chick from Vanderbilt.
Yep.
Come off the soccer field and was a kicker. Necessary Roughness, if you haven't seen it, Scott Bakula's the quarterback.
Yep.
Sinbad's in that thing. But Lucy Draper made the movie because it was Kathy Ireland.
Yes.
And that was the height of Kathy Ireland.
Yeah.
I mean, she was the hottest thing on the fucking planet for that time period.
For about that 3-year period.
I mean, you didn't.
Yeah.
She was everywhere. Well, basically, she played a soccer player in this, and it's a ripoff of Texas A&M football. You know, but they're the virus protection.
Yep.
So basically, they're the ragtag Bad News Bears, but they're the Texas State Armadillos. But it's a ripoff of it because it's the green helmet with it looks like an A&M logo, but it's T and then the S and U, so it looks just like A&M. And the women's soccer team, I guess, was pretty decent, and then they seen her kicking and brought her in as the kicker. So, you know, that was
no, you're not wrong.
That was pretty wild.
Yeah, that movie, and is it that one? Is the steamy shower scene in that one?
Yep.
Yeah, like I bet that scene for about a 2-year span was probably the most watched scene.
And keep in mind that's on VHS.
Yes.
So
no, it was
those
stop
VHS
rewind.
tapes
Stop rewind.
Were fucking out.
Yeah, if you ever find a Necessary Roughness, if you can tell the wear and tear on tape, I guarantee you the wear and tear is on that scene.
Yeah, exactly. It has to be. But and that's why I chose it, because, you know, she was hot shit. I had posters of her in my room, and, you know, and she was really good in that movie. She had really good form when she was kicking and everything else. And then I tied it in with a current event with that chick from Vanderbilt this weekend.
Well, I'm trying to remember her name. I'm going to look. It's something like Fuller or something like that.
Yeah, somewhere in there.
Anyways,
the first female to suit up for a Division I football game.
No, she's not the first one to suit up.
She's the first one to take the field.
For a Power 5.
Power 5.
There was a girl in the early 2000s that played for New Mexico State.
Yeah, that's
New
right.
Mexico or something.
Yeah, but
and kicked a couple extra points.
This is big time.
Yeah,
football.
no, this is SEC football. So she kicks off, and she played one play. She kicked off the second half, and they squib kick it to the right side, and immediately Twitter blows up on two sides. One is, you know, congratulations, first female to play in a snap in a Power 5 conference football game. You know, all the accolades. But the other side was like, well, that was a fucking horrible kick, and it was what are they doing letting women play football? And
no,
stuff like that.
That's bullshit.
If you watch the fucking play,
it was designed.
The design of the play was to squib kick it to the dude she hit in the chest, because the whole flow of the kickoff team is that short right side of the field to cut it off.
Well,
so there was no return because they were getting slaughtered. They're an 0-8 football team. Their head coach got fired yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, they're a horrible football team, and they were just trying not to stop the bleeding. And they squib kicked it so they couldn't get a return.
Another thing, too, imagine if you're a guy returning that ball and you have to get in the open field with her and she blows your ass up.
My.
Like, what are you going to do?
She's a goalie.
You have to retire. Like, you have to quit immediately.
The women's soccer. She's the goalie for the Vanderbilt women's soccer team. They won the national championship last year.
She's in a Heffley. She's the real deal.
Yeah, and so I looked it up because I was curious, and she's considered one of the best goalies in the nation, and she's apparently on the soccer field, like, her reputation is a monster.
Yeah,
like,
she's an enforcer.
Like, super nice person, but like a beast on the field.
Yeah.
And so I have no doubt that she probably, in that situation, knowing the pressure, I feel like she'd have probably tried to maybe she doesn't, because she weighs 145, 150 pounds, and so she doesn't crush it 220 pounds.
She would put everything she had.
I feel like she'd probably put every ounce of power she had.
She'd come in a dude like a fucking rock.
Just so she didn't get a meme and set women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, she has that mentality.
She would put her shoulder pad square in somebody's gut and give them everything she had.
Yeah, I feel like that would have happened.
I mean, she would try to hit him like a fucking Buick.
Well, she's trying to stay on the team. She told him she wants to stay if they'll have her.
I mean,
apparently she gave a halftime speech. Apparently, so the article I read said that basically they went in at halftime. They're an 0-8 football team.
I knew that.
They hadn't been good in years.
No, Vanderbilt's never been good.
Yeah, and
even
so
Jay Cutler was there.
And they get in the locker room. Apparently, it's real quiet. There's no talking. Everybody's just sitting in their lockers, head down, and stuff like that. And she, you know, coming from a national championship team to an 0-8 team, like, it's unacceptable. And so she gives an impassioned speech about you know, they need to be more active on the sidelines and cheering for their teammates and more involved, and they can't just sit back and stuff like that.
Raw the piss out of them.
Yeah, and kind of chewed their ass about it, from what I tell. And so, and she told the interviews she didn't bring up that she gave the speech. It got out. And so when she was asked about it, she was like, well, I just had some things to say, you know, and just trying to take the best use of my time and stuff. And she said, it really meant a lot. Some of the guys came up to me afterwards and said, thank you for saying that. You know, we've wanted to, but it's just hard when you're on the team to be that person and stuff. So, but could you imagine being a bunch of manly men football players and the girl kicker from the soccer team comes in and chews your ass?
That's it. Up one side and down the other. That's the thing about Vanderbilt, though. I mean, they're not known for much than baseball and women's soccer, and that's it.
Well, she's transferring. She's a grad transfer at the end of this year to North Texas. She's going to play 2 years of soccer at North Texas and finish her master's degree.
Mean green.
I read that on the deal as well, so she'll be nearby.
Awesome. All right, so what you got on 7?
So from one female athlete to another, Lola Bunny from Space Jam.
See, I didn't even put any Space Jam.
Who is the best basketball player in the movie, but that's not named Mike.
Well, that's fair. She does out-compete everybody.
It's hot cartoon bunny.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And Space Jam was such... They're supposedly redoing it with LeBron.
Well, they're doing a sequel.
Still.
Yeah, I know.
It's a redo.
Yeah.
A sequel would be Jordan again.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I hated... The reason I hated that was, he was like a childhood hero of mine, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be your movie. This is now. Granted, looking back on it, the mountain of money that they paid him to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but when I don't know if you remember or not, but when that movie came out, it fucking was everywhere.
Oh, it was all over the place.
The jerseys and shit were everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah.
It was just disgusting to me. But like I said, the movie was all right for what it was. But man. But you're right. She was the best basketball player on there, not named Michael Jordan. So, my number 7 was Moonlight Graham in Field of Dreams. The doctor.
Okay.
The reason I like him the best is because he's the one that gave it up the easiest.
Mm-hmm.
Because that little girl went down, choking out. He got his hit, played his ball, and then, of course, when he stepped onto the field drain, it was over. He turned back into the old man that he died as.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I liked that because he got to relive his dream, relive it, his pride moment with those players, and then also gave it all up so that kid could walk around and live.
Yeah.
So, he made my number 7.
Yeah, that's a good one. That movie is just, because of the kind of movie it was just really hard to find an athlete.
Well, for me,
out of it,
there's only 2 that you could really go with, and it was Moonlight Graham and it was Shoeless Joe Jackson.
Yeah,
but Shoeless Joe Jackson was
a real athlete. Yeah,
but Ray Liotta is the Joe Jackson.
He's really good then. He
did really well. Because you don't get to see a lot of the athletic competition.
Yeah.
You've got the old Yankee guys, the old White Sox guys, so on and so forth, but. No, you don't get to see a lot of that.
Yeah.
But, Moonlight Graham is that kid that they picked up and brought in and all that. So, to me, he's the one that stood out the most. And he also sacrificed the most toward the end. So, that's how he wound up on my list. A lot of people are like, that dude just had one hit. Yeah. If I could just go play ball and get one major league hit, I'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
Spend just that time on one field with players. Yeah.
That's much more about the experience than the success of it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, you're right. So my number 6 is 2 brothers, because I had a hard time picking between the 2, so I just included them. Tommy and Brendan Conlon from Warrior. Have you ever seen Warrior?
Oh yeah, that's the MMA.
Yeah,
right?
It's Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton.
Yeah.
Tom Hardy is may or may not be AWOL deserter Marine.
Yeah.
Dealing with PTSD, trying to win a tournament so he can give the money to his dead best friend's wife, who he feels responsible for him dying. And he's just a fucking monster. He kills everybody in that movie. And then Joel Edgerton is basically Rich Franklin. He's a science teacher who's trying to win the money because he needs to pay for his house. But the movie's great. Nick Nolte's the dad. He plays Nick Nolte. He's an alcoholic and is Nick Nolte. I couldn't decide between the 2 brothers who my favorite athlete was in that movie. I love both of them. Just
didn't they end up fighting each other?
They do in the final round.
That's what I thought.
And
it's been a while.
And because I identify kind of with both sides of their personalities.
Yeah.
And stuff. But the best scene in that movie is Frank Grillo is he's the trainer for Joel Errington in that movie, and he plays a lot of he's an actor. He plays in a lot of fighting movies and stuff. He's Crossbones in the Marvel universe. Captain America's enemy. But when he gives the "Why are we here?" kind of speech to him in the corner when he's fighting Koba, he's like, "Why are we here? Because if we're not here to win, then like let's just go home. But you don't have a home if you don't win. So you got to." And I get he's in that speech. Like every time I watch that scene, I'm like, "Yeah, crush that motherfucker in the face." But if you haven't seen Warrior, it is easily my favorite MMA movie.
I've seen it. It's been 100 years. I'll have to revisit it. Like I said, I haven't. It doesn't really stand out. I know I've seen it, but like I said, I don't remember much about it. It's been a while. But I will revisit. So I guess I'll go with my number. What are we on?
6.
My number 6 is the most cliche one of the whole pile.
Okay.
Roy Hobbs, the natural.
I knew he would come in at some point.
Had to. And the reason I chose Roy Hobbs at 6 and didn't put him higher it's cliche. It's as cliche as the baseball movie gets, but you know, I look at that movie as the greatest comeback story. You know, he got shot and everything else. You know, so much potential, and then it gets taken away from him, and then he, you know, finally comes back.
See, that's like my problem with sports movies is, like I like the weird, unorthodox, kind of off the wall ones, and
me too.
The great ones, like The Naturals, it is a great sports movie. But because it's just like you said, it's kind of cliche.
Yeah,
it's just so like it's so straightforward. It's Robert Redford, all American wholeness. Like I never can get into those kind of sports movies very well.
Well, see that's why I did that. I mean, because Roy Hobbs makes a lot of people's number 1 list.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you know, but you're wanting that wholesome feel and all that shit. That's not how I roll.
Yeah.
Now I have him in the top 6 because I mean this is a great athlete, and it was a great movie. But I mean, he could have easily not made it.
Yeah.
You know, but I went that direction. It made me happy. So that's what the fuck is going on? Somebody's texting me.
Oh.
Interesting.
So we're moving into the top 5 now.
We're going to the 5.
And so for mine, the top 5, any one of them, if I'm flipping through the channels, and their movie is on, like I'm stopping and watching.
Okay.
Like it's that level. The 10 through 6 are ones I just really like, you know. But the top 5 for me is if their movie's on, like I'm stopping and I'm watching that movie, and everyone in the house could be mad at me that we're not watching it.
I get close there on my 5. I mean, Field of Dreams is one of those ones that you can watch pretty much anywhere. The program is there. Glow being a TV series, you can
a little different.
You only see it once, but okay. All right, so hit me with number 5.
Adonis Creed from Creed.
I knew that was coming.
It's the swagger of his dad Apollo, and the toughness and stupidity of Rocky, and plus like the soundtrack for those movies for the workout montages is like everybody can talk about Eye of the Tiger all they want. Nobody wants to listen to Eye of the Tiger while they're working out. Like it's not anymore.
No.
It was a great movie back then, or a great soundtrack back then. But nowadays, like you're not listening to the Rocky soundtrack to go lift weights unless you're 60, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the Creed movies are 2 of the best boxing movies.
Yeah, because Rocky gets old. The first one works, but then when you get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
and I don't identify with Rocky, like I like the Rocky movies. I love Rocky 4 with Dolph Lundgren. But like I said earlier, like I like the unorthodox stuff. A lot of times most of my favorite Rocky characters are the bad guys. You know, or the ones he's fighting, like Mr. T, and we played Clubber Lang and Dolph Lundgren's character. You know, it's the bad guys. Rocky is not, you know.
It's cliche.
To me, I don't really identify with Rocky.
It's the Roy Hobbs of boxing.
Yeah.
That's where that goes. Okay, so, yeah, I get where you're going with that. The Creed movies, I've only seen the first one. I haven't seen the second one. There's 2, right?
Yeah, there's 2. The second one is he fights
That's Michael B. Jordan, right?
Yeah, he fights Drago's son in the second one.
Okay, I haven't seen that one. I have seen the first one. All right, so close my shit. Give me a bear with me a moment. My number 5 is Charlie Conway, the Mighty Ducks.
Okay.
He's the team captain, basically the Wayne Gretzky of that team. I think he even wears number 99.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, that hockey movie, that's kind of got me interested for about 20 seconds in hockey.
Yeah.
Because that actually turned out to be a real team once, you know, Disney got a hold of it and ran with it. The Anaheim Ducks were a real thing. They even had the same logo. And you couldn't get away from it. And there was a lot of cool characters in that movie. The goalie kid was good. Goldberg. The girl was in that. But Charlie Conway, you know, he really stood out.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was the stud. Gets the girl at the end.
Yeah.
And, you know.
Yeah, he's the elite athlete on the team of misfits.
With that, and, you know, the other team, the rival team wanted him, and then, you know, it all kind of fell apart there in the end, and then Gordon Bombay comes along, and so on and so forth. So that's where I'm at with number 5 is Mr. Charlie Conway.
I mean, the main cast of that is only in 2, right?
First one and the second one.
Yeah, and
the
then
first one
there's a third one too, but it's got a couple of the kids, but it's mostly
it starts to crumble.
Yeah.
It crumbles real fast, and the second one's iffy. The second one's where they go to national, like they're the American team.
Oh yeah.
Team USA.
Yeah.
And they play I think it's actually a Russian team or maybe Norwegian or some shit. Anyway, slick-haired white dudes.
Yeah.
That's what they were playing against. You know, the first one.
Eastern Bloc.
Yeah. You know, the squared off heads and chins and shit. Yeah, they should have shut it down after the first one, but you know, when you make the money you did off the first one, you got to keep rolling.
Yeah, because the third one's the one where they go to like a prep school college thing, right?
Yeah, they start. Goldberg's in that one. Then they get that weird cowboy kid and all that. Yeah, it just kind of fucking falls apart. Now the cowboy kid was in the second one too.
Emilio Estevez's character is like in there for like
10 seconds.
Don't cut their scholarship or I'll sue you scene, and then leaves. And and it's the other guy. I can't think of the other guy's name, but he always plays like. It seems like every show or movie he's in, he's the replacement character. Like he's never the original star character. He's always the guy they bring in to replace, like when Emilio Estevez leaves, he's the new coach or something like that. And
yeah, gotta let that one.
But no, the first one's really good.
Yeah, the first one's great.
My favorite character from the first one's probably the girl.
Yeah,
and I don't remember her name. I wasn't a huge fan of the movie, but the girl from the first one was the one I liked.
Yeah.
Same with the girl from Little Giants.
Yeah.
There was consideration for her on my honorable mention list.
Yeah, yeah.
And so number 4 for me is my second Kevin Costner, Roy McAvoy from Tin Cup. It's the only golf movie I like.
It's probably the best golf movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's better than Happy Gilmore.
Yeah.
If you really want to get down to it.
At the end, and the reason I like that movie is for one, it's Kevin Costner. It's prime Kevin Costner. You know, where like at that time when he was at his height, he was, you know, everything he said was money making.
Yeah.
And but at the end when he hits on day 4 and he hits 8 balls into the water because he's gonna make that fucking shot. And he loses the Masters, and then he realizes it's freaking out. And Rene Russo, 90s Rene Russo is smoking hot.
Oh, for sure.
But she comes up to him and she's like, "No one will remember who won or lost the Masters in a few years, but they'll always remember you're 12." And he's like, "Now I'm basically immortal, you know, for the Masters legacy." I don't know. I love that movie. I watch it every time it comes on. When he's doing the pro golf thing and he's when he's training, when he's working the golf course, he's pro-ams or pro trainer.
He's the
golf pro.
Golf pro.
Yeah.
The resident pro of
He's
that
the
driving
golf pro,
range.
and he's trying to help that guy drive, and he's making him wear like the stupid fucking hat,
Yeah.
put all his quarters in his left pocket,
Yeah.
and then and this is they're doing it to Kevin Costner. What is fucking his bobbleheads right here?
Cheech Marin.
Cheech Marin is the one doing it to him, and he was like, "How do you feel?" He's like, "I feel like I'm looking stupid." He's like, "'Cause you do."
Yeah.
Like, stop thinking, hit the ball. I just love that movie.
All right, my number 4 is Tweeter. Varsity Blues,
yeah,
the wide receiver.
Definitely consideration for mine.
That guy was the party animal, man. He reminded me a lot of myself in high school. I was the get fun, naked, drunk guy.
Mm-hmm.
Tweeter is every bit of that. He is in no way the hero of this film, but Tweeter is a very essential piece.
No, every team has to have a tweeter. Like if you don't,
you don't have a tweeter,
you're not going to succeed very well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's the linchpin of the whole thing. So Varsity Blues is great. There was a lot of characters there. You know, Mox could have been a good one to go after. Billy Bob. You know, those are the usual suspects when it comes to that. But for me, it was Tweeter.
Yep.
Tweeter always had the girls, always had the drugs, and always
cute mountain hat.
Yeah, and you know, was riding around naked in the cop car with all the cheerleaders. I mean, the dude had it. The dude lived the life.
No, you're any sane individual when they watch that movie, they're like, I want to be Tweeter.
Exactly. That's
like any sane individual.
Yeah, you don't want to be Moxon. You got all the pressure on you.
So
you want to be Tweeter. You want to go out. You want to have a good time, and that's the way it goes. So Tweeter, and that's one of those movies that I will watch. I don't care.
Oh yeah. No.
I don't care where it's at.
It is the sports movie that I'm waiting for my kid to be old enough to watch with him.
Oh yeah.
Like it is the one that's set aside, and when I think he can handle the Miss Davis, will you go prom with me scene?
No, yeah.
We will be watching.
Yeah.
We will be watching that movie.
The whipped cream bikini scene.
Oh.
So yeah, that one is that's a classic.
No, you're not wrong. You're not
we
wrong.
were in high school when that came out. I remember.
We were. I saw it in theater on a date.
Yep, for sure.
So,
all right, so we're gonna roll with number 3.
Number 3 for me is Shane Falco from The Replacements.
I knew that was coming. I was surprised.
And the quicksand speech. One of these days we need to do a podcast for like best movie speeches. By the way,
oh yeah,
because I'm a speech guy.
Yeah.
But the quicksand speech in that movie is one of my favorite sports speeches. Just because like I completely relate to that understanding of like pressure getting to you and weight, everything just going wrong off the wheels. But that movie is like, as far as underdog movies go, I love it. You've got Gene Hackman as the coach, and the samurai offensive lineman eating too many eggs and hurling on the field. But Shane Falco, like the leadership style, the redemption arc, because everybody calls him what Feats Falco or something like that. And I don't know, the stripper cheerleaders. That whole movie's great. But yeah, I'm a huge Shane Falco fan. That movie comes on, I don't care if there's 20 minutes left in it, I'm watching.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I've always liked that movie. The coaching is good. It reminded me a lot of the program, because it was always a ragtag ordeal and things like that. So with my number 3, we finally get our first major league reference. It's not who you think it's going to be. It's not Ricky Vaughn. It's Pedro Serrano.
He's the hitter, right?
Yeah, Joe Boo.
Yeah.
He's got the voodoo doll. Does all that. Pedro is the man.
He's my favorite character from that movie as well.
Easily. The dude is big, strong.
Jesus doesn't help me with curveball.
Yeah, no shit. Like, barkeep, Joe Boo needs a refill. If you don't know who Joe Boo is, Joe Boo's his voodoo doll that hangs out in his locker. And everybody's afraid of Pedro because he's a crazy voodoo magician, but the dude can hit the shit out of a baseball. Can't touch a curveball.
No.
There toward the end, he's like, "Fuck you, Joe Boo, I do it myself," and then finally got one.
Yep.
But there toward the end, he finally figured one out. But yeah, that guy made the movie for me.
No, the two best characters in that movie are him and Wesley Snipes' character.
Yeah.
Just because he was so obvious, like to me.
Willie Mays Hayes.
To me, he was so obvious a Deion Sanders ripoff.
Well, yeah.
Like it was just blatant that that's who he was playing Deion Sanders.
Yeah, the chains and all that shit. Because if you ever saw Deion on a baseball field, that's what he did. He wasn't exactly great at baseball either. I mean, he was okay.
Yeah, he was above average.
Yeah, I mean, you didn't make a major league team. You're still pretty salty.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. So my number 2 shows the lack of sanity on my part. And it's Jonathan Moxon from Varsity Blues.
The Mox. See, I knew you had a Varsity Blues one in there. I just didn't know where.
Well, to me, that was when that movie came out. And my high school sports legacy. That was who I felt like I was on our team.
Yeah.
I was the book smart kid that was happy being on the team, wanted to win, wanted to contribute, but really I knew I wasn't the star.
Never wanted the spotlight. Either.
Yeah, I wanted to do my part and stuff. Played behind a guy that was the star, and then. And I was much more worried about, going to my Brown, and stuff like that. But then playing for a coach that was kind of similar to their coach, and stuff. But, that's that. Anytime it comes on, Jonathan Moxon's my favorite.
I don't have I like Mox. The story, revolves around Moxon, and it's the underdog and all that shit. So I said, man, he gets the whipped cream bikini. Well, the dude's got it figured out.
But even on that, like, he goes with the right choice. Allie Larder's hot. She is.
But Amy Smart.
But Amy Smart. Like, when that movie came out, like, Amy Smart was, like, on my top 3 list of all dream women.
Sure.
And so, Allie Larder is great looking. And in the whipped cream bikini, it's even, she's even better looking.
Yeah.
But, like, if I'm picking a chick in that movie, it's Amy Smart.
My number 2 is Dottie Hinson.
Okay.
A League of Their Own.
Yep.
I have a soft spot for catchers.
Yep.
She was a bad motherfucker. Mm-hmm. She's basically the Johnny Moxon of the League of Their Own. She didn't want to be there. The only reason she went was because of her, her kid sister wanted to pitch. And so they dragged Dottie in there, and of course Dottie's the one that they really wanted. Yeah. But she's all world, got a big old plug of beach nut. She's always giving Tom Hanks shit.
Yep.
She's the bread and butter. And that is one of the best baseball movies ever put together. And it helps that shit really happened. Now, Dottie Henson's not a real person, and there's none on there that were real. Don't be there, but
no, it is based on.
Yeah.
I mean, that shit really happened.
Yeah. When World War II.
Mm-hmm.
But you've got, Donna's in this thing. Mm-hmm. You've got Rosie O'Donnell is in right field. Marla Hooch, the ugly ass second baseman, but she can drill. And then you got Dottie Hinson. You got Kit Carson, which is Dottie's sister.
Mm-hmm.
This is, it's one of the greatest
and
baseball
Tom Hanks
fields.
is the manager
Tom
coach
Hanks
that
Jimmy Dugan.
Can't believe he's fucking there.
Yeah, he's like
just angry, almost angry he's not at war.
Yeah, basically. So that for me is one of the best baseball movies ever made, and Dottie Hinson is like the catcher you want on your team. Like gritty, dirty, not afraid to go out there and crawl up somebody's ass on the mound. The undoubted leader can field the whole 9 yards. So that's why I went with Dottie Hinson at number 2.
Yeah, that's a good number 2.
I fought with this.
I wanted to put her on my list, but I'm not a huge League of Their Own fan.
Yeah.
I can't stand Rosie O'Donnell, like in anything she's in. And it has nothing to do with her politics or anything like that. It's just her voice and the way she acts. Like, she just pisses me off.
Madonna, though, carries a lot of water in
Madonna's really good in the movie. I don't like Tom Hanks in that movie. Like, it's just,
really?
Yeah, it's just a hard movie for me to watch sometimes.
Jimmy, see, I thought that was... It's not his Forrest Gump role or something like
well, I hate Forrest Gump, too. But
he was... I thought he was pretty decent as Jimmy Dugan. But
and he's good. I don't know. There's something about that character that I wasn't a big fan.
It's just a difference.
But no, she's... If you're going like... If this was a
she's the female Johnny Bench.
If this is a top 10 list of greatest fictional sports athletes, she's top 5 easy.
Yeah.
As far as like just how the movie portrays her and stats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it was just hard to put her on my favorites list because I'm not a huge fan of the movie.
Yeah, well, I got you.
But she was definitely when I developed my original list of like 20 people that I wanted to cipher through, she was on that list. So she'd be in my top 20. So.
Yeah, easily.
So my number 1 is my most controversial choice. All right, you just got to hear me out. So it's Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Phoenix
Gladiator.
Gladiator. It's a sport. They were the original pro athletes.
That is, except they weren't getting paid.
They were getting paid in real gladiators. They were getting paid in women. They got paid money.
Yeah.
And stuff like they were rich ass gladiators. They just were a slave to somebody else.
That crossed my mind. It really did. It crossed my mind several times, but you can't go wrong. That movie's fantastic.
No. And if you were going to argue with me, it would be another Russell Crowe character that I didn't put on the list just in case, and it's Jim Braddock from Cinderella Man.
Yeah,
I love that fucking movie.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a problem with it. I think that's a fair assessment. But he's not an athlete by choice. Of course, many of the gladiators back in those days
were not.
So it kind of falls in line. Yeah, that's not a feel-good movie
no, it's not at all.
By any stretch of the imagination, but it's a great one. So I'll buy it. I don't have a problem with it. And that honestly crossed my mind. Like I gave it serious consideration as making my top 10. But my number 1, I finally get to Kevin Costner.
Okay.
You're going to laugh at me for this one, but I think it's his greatest baseball movie, and I think it's. And I will. This is the one film. I don't care if there's 20 seconds left and the credits are about to roll. I'm going to watch this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Chapel, For the Love of the Game.
You're not wrong at any. Like, the only reason Billy Chapel's not on my list is because by the time I kind of started nitpicking parts, I already had 2 Costner roles. So I had to cut somebody.
For me, though, that's Kevin Costner's best work as a baseball player. You know, because
no, you're right.
It doesn't focus on his career. It's just one game, the last game of his career. What's going through your mind when you're trying to pitch a perfect game?
Yeah.
In Yankee Stadium.
Yep.
As an away team, Vin Scully is the announcer.
Oh man, and he does
I could listen to Vin Scully and read me the phone book.
And that is Vin Scully at its finest. And obviously because he probably got to script his own comments, so he had a little practice, knew what was happening, and say it. But if you've never listened to Vin Scully call a game, you know, you got to go listen to that one, and you've got to listen to any game he called in the World Series.
The thing about Vin Scully really made that movie. You know, I loved him in that. You know, just hearing his voice.
Yeah,
it's synonymous with baseball. Like him and Bob Uecker are the guys, the commentary guys. You know, even more than Harry Carey, if that makes sense, or even Callis.
Yeah,
Harry Callis, if that makes because they weren't as famous. You know, these two were iconic.
They were baseball for.
Well, Uecker's still doing it.
30 years.
Well,
I mean, how long has Vin Scully been called games before he died? 40.
He's not dead.
I thought did he just retire?
He just retired.
I thought he died.
He'd been
calling. That's good. I'm glad he isn't dead.
All right, I'll put it this way. He called games with Connie Mack involved, who was born in 1892, and he called games with Juan Urias Juan Urias played in, who was born in 1996. So he called games that Jackie Robinson played in.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, that far back.
So I think like 1951-ish.
So he was calling baseball games for 50 plus years.
Yes, and he just quit. And see, the thing about him, he kept his own score. And he didn't have a color guy either. It was all Vin.
Yeah.
Vin was the only dude in the booth. And see, that was the beauty of the Dodger games. Like if you ever had MLB extra innings or the extra innings package where you basically got every game, I would watch Dodger games because the TV broadcast finally figured out we don't need anything else. Just put the radio broadcast on, and it's just Vin Scully talking the game.
Yep.
You know, you would think, well, how is one guy that interesting? He could tell stories. The shit that this dude has witnessed. He saw Koufax pitch perfect games, no hitters, all of them. He watched Koufax pitch all 4 of his. Okay, he saw Drysdale pitch. He saw Jackie Robinson play.
Yeah,
he was there for Aaron. He was there for the Kirk Gibson walk-off.
Yeah.
You know, this guy has forgotten more shit about baseball than we'll ever know. And, you know, he is baseball. Like, you could take anybody and be like, you could just play that voice and be like, we know who that is. Even if you don't know his name, you know that's a baseball guy. So, yeah, no, Vin, he just retired like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. I thought he died like last year.
No. He's in his 90s.
Yeah, he's old.
But he's been doing it. He's been doing it for over 50 years. Now Uecker, I think he's the Brewers guy. He's been there. He's still there. I think. I don't know how long, but he's been doing it a while. But Uecker actually played.
Well, I know, but in that movie, the start of that movie where he takes him out and he's like staring at the clouds.
Yeah.
And the Blues like, what's he doing? And the catcher, who by the way, John C. Reilly he's funny, but he is a much better character actor in serious movies and stuff than he is in the comedy stuff with Will Ferrell.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's like, I guess he's looking at the clouds.
Yeah.
Like, shit, I better go check on my picture.
Yeah.
But when he focuses in, everybody's they're playing at Yankee Stadium, so all it's negative, being hurled at him. But when he just he puts the ball in his glove, he bends over and takes the sign, and just everything just kind of
goes silent.
He goes silent, but they what's it called when they not fade out, but
when they come in,
when they edit the background out where it's all blurry.
Oh yeah.
And they do that, and it just focuses. Everything's out of focus, but him and the catcher, like That's how sports is.
Yeah.
Like, you know, if you've ever played anything, there's people that feed on the crowd, but I was always one of the ones I never heard the hook.
Well, yeah, and that's the way he is there. You know, before he takes a pitch, he goes clear the mechanism.
Yeah.
And then it's just silence.
Yeah.
He's aware of things going on around him, but you're right. That tunnel's created. It's
Yeah.
just him and the catcher's glove. You know, and that's how that film works out. And then you can tell as it goes on. Of course, you're pitching a perfect game in Yankee Stadium, being known well. I don't know if he knew yet, but I'm sure that
I don't think he realizes it till like the 8th inning.
that I'm done.
Yeah.
And you know. And then that's where they filter in all the story there.
Yeah.
You know, the whole Rene Russo thing and all that shit. So, for me, that's it, man. Billy Chapel.
No, I had to edit one guy out. And if that story is all baseball, if that movie's all baseball, he's probably on my list.
Yeah.
But because they keep... And
it's a half chick flick.
Yeah, yeah. And but they keep jumping to the relationship and out of baseball. And that's when the movie... Like, I'm super into the movie and baseball, and then it goes to chick flick portion, and I'm like...
But you know, I always took it, and I may be naive here, but I always took it as that shit that's going through his mind.
Yeah, no, it definitely, to me, came off the vibe of is you're not watching that shit happen, you're watching him think about that shit happening.
That, you know, those are memories that he's kicking around over the years,
Yeah.
and he's thinking, you know, this is... And I think with those memories going, that's how he decides by inning 8, 9, I'm done. You know, this is the life I want to, you know.
Yeah.
I'm done traveling, I'm done all that.
Yeah. Well, and it's about the same time he realizes he's pitching a perfect game.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
And another little tidbit about that, Kevin Costner did not pitch one pitch of that.
No.
The guy that actually pitched that was Dave Island, the pitching coach for the Kansas City Royals.
Mm-hmm.
He's the pitcher there. He's doing all the pitching.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I didn't know that until I was watching a Royals game. Rex Hudler was talking about it.
So last night when I was going through all this, I was watching YouTube clips of some movies, and the scene where he's staring at the clouds, and John C. Reilly goes and talks to him, and he's like, you know, I think I'm gonna throw a little extra hard today, and Riley's like, well, let's not jump out early. Let's save a little in the tank. He's like, no. I think I'm gonna throw hard today, and then Riley's like, well, all right, one more time, and he goes back there and he takes that first pitch. Knowing that he didn't pitch any of those, like he had to have thrown that first pitch.
Maybe
the warm up pitch where Riley catches it and throws it second, because I watched that pitch and I'm like, you can tell that's an actor throwing the ball, because it's kind of like this like looping little, there's no power to it, it's just kind of a loop, and then you can hear it hits the glove and you hear the pop, but you're like, pop doesn't match that ball. And but then the rest of the game it looks like a pitcher, so that makes sense to me.
Yeah, it's a pitching coach actually. It's Dave Island.
Yeah, but
so I mean, while we're here, we're talking about sports. Let's talk about what's been happening. I mean, since we're finished with this, I don't think the NFL is going to make it. The Baltimore Ravens are dropping like flies.
Yes,
Steelers are dropping like flies now. James Conner's got it.
Yeah, fuck my fantasy team up.
But, you want to see mine? I got 5.
Listen, I went up from being like 85 to 13 to where I'm probably going to lose my game because half my team's out for COVID.
Well, see, that
seems like
mine is half out for COVID, and then my lone bright spot was Tyreek Hill.
Oh yeah,
but the dude I'm playing has Patrick Mahomes, so
kind of equals each other.
It was a wash.
Yeah.
And then the college football isn't looking good either. We had like 5 games postponed this weekend.
Well, and then Denver played with a practice squad wide receiver as their quarterback.
All right, we got to talk about.
And
they wanted the coach. He was the quarterback's coach?
No. He was a offensive quality assurance coach, and so basically he's been it for the last 2 years. But he'd been a journeyman practice squad third stringer quarterback in the league for several years before that. It was a decent college. Like, it wasn't like they were trying to take like an offensive guy because he knew the plays and put him back there. Like, he was a quarterback up until about 2 years ago.
Well, the thing is,
and
the NFL's excuse is what was so bullshit on that. You're going to start stashing players on your coaching staff.
Yes.
Okay, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, if your dude can play, he's going to be on the roster.
Yeah.
You're not going to hide him in the coaching staff to be like, okay, we're going to put you out there.
What cracked me up is the conspiracy theories the Broncos players are throwing out there now. They're all saying the Ravens get a bunch of COVID players, and we've pushed the game back twice so they can get players tested and contact traced and have a chance to play in the game and stuff. And our quarterback room, we're playing a practice squad wide receiver, but we're not getting the same treatment and getting our game moved back and rescheduled.
Yeah, they said their dudes could come clear Tuesday.
Yes, and so it's a giant conspiracy to punish them and make an example out of them.
Well, I mean, the league punishing people for this shit, at first I kind of get it. But now that it's just uncontrollable.
Well, so
the teams are losing draft picks and shit.
They're not punishing them for players getting COVID. It's like the Titans didn't get punished. They're punishing them for violating the protocols. Like the Raiders got their draft picks.
No masks.
Because they're having no masks. The Saints had they were celebrating in the locker room and no one was wearing a mask. Like, they're not punishing them for getting COVID. They're punishing them for violating the protocols that could lead to it.
Still, I mean, damn it, man.
My deal is the league can no longer say player safety is important.
No.
They have thrown that shit out of the window.
It's all about
money is
bills.
what matters. Player safety, we could get and making an appearance that we're trying to protect you from COVID. They've thrown all that shit out the window.
If it came down to safety, they wouldn't be playing, period.
Yeah. Well, and I'm a full believer in like acceptable risk and like risk mitigation and stuff like that. Like, I'm okay with them playing and putting policies in place and stuff. But
when it turns into a Denver Broncos situation, you gotta.
That's not when you're bringing in the
gotta do something.
Practice squad wide receiver to be the quarterback.
It's because they didn't want that many. They didn't want any other games moved.
Yeah.
And I think the Broncos people probably have a legitimate bitch because honestly, I think if Lamar Jackson didn't test positive, I think the Ravens game would have went on because you want that.
They want that star.
You want the superstars on the field.
No, I agree.
And I think that all rolls back into the money. It ain't about player safety. It's about money. Because I guarantee I will bet you anything. If Patrick Mahomes goes down with it, they'll fucking figure out a way to make up every single game because that's where their money's at when 15's on the field. Or even, I don't know so much about Brady anymore, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That star power. So
the crazy one that's going to be coming up now is the San Francisco 49ers.
They got a home.
Their county just like came out and said, hey, no contact sports for 3 weeks.
So they had to move.
And they didn't tell the team. The team found out because
they were playing the Rams too, so they share that stadium.
No, they don't share the stadium anymore. The Rams are in LA now.
That's right.
And so
that's right.
But
the gene holes.
But they were at the Rams.
I'm thinking Rams and Chargers.
They were at the Rams.
Yeah.
And the news broke, and nobody told the team. They found out on Twitter, and wives were calling the players, being like, "Hey, what the fuck's going on?" They're saying y'all can't play for the next 3 weeks in San Francisco, and so now the team's pissed at the county because they made this rule and didn't tell anybody, so now the league couldn't plan or make any plans. But yeah, San Francisco, they had two of their next 3 games were at San Francisco.
Yeah, they were home games.
And so now they're trying to figure out how to play those games and maintain fairness.
Yeah, it's not. It's just not.
Yeah.
And it's not like, San Francisco was going to win the Super Bowl. Because, 90% of their roster's injured anyway. Their quarterback, their stud defensive lineman, the whole 9 yards. So it's not like that we're going to pin you down. That shit happened.
Yeah.
But then you start looking at around the country, like at Pennsylvania, like, you've got to wear a mask on the field, and the Steelers, like, that don't apply to us. You're in Pennsylvania, dude. It applies to you. Same thing with the Eagles.
Yep.
So I don't know how they're going to skirt that, but it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. At this point, you look at it, and it's like you're going to have to shut it down. It's just going to have to.
I think we'll have playoff games that have practice squad players playing quarterback, running back, wide receiver.
Major
roles on
going
team.
to get filthy.
They're going to force this season through, and you'll have you could very well have a Super Bowl championship or a Super Bowl game where the two teams are playing each other, and a third of their rosters are practice squad players.
I agree 100%. But the sport that's really going to hurt the most out of this, and it's already kind of coming to fruition in their first week, is NCAA basketball.
Yeah, college basketball is going to suffer.
because they can't NBA it. You know, you can't. The NBA did it right, and even now, I think the bubble would be hard because the spread is so much. But even now, like I said, I think the bubble is the only way to do it.
Yeah.
But they can't do that with college athletes. There's no money to be able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and then
you'd have to give up the illusion that it's amateur athletes, that it's student athletes.
Yeah.
If you put them in a bubble and start playing.
Well,
games.
think about this too. A lot of the schools have closed.
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma closed. That's why they didn't have football and basketball Saturday.
No.
That was gone. They were supposed to play basketball Friday night. No.
Thursday night.
Thursday night.
They were going to have a scrimmage against East Texas and San Antonio or something.
Yeah, UTSA.
Yeah.
Texas San Antonio. And then the football team was supposed to play West Virginia. Well, that got nixed. Well, the NCAA is going to be their own worst enemy at this whole thing because of their scholarship athlete rule. Football, you can do it. You know, there's 80, 85 kids in your program. You can, all right, yeah, we can fudge it. I mean, unless your stud goes down. Even then, you can probably still back him up. Basketball, there's like 15. And you got to have, I think, 8 or 9 scholarship athletes. Maybe more. I can't remember what the numbers were. But the program is so tiny. And then you got to figure in all travel and all that other shit. It's just doomed. Yeah. And that's what's going to suck is we're facing the real possibility of no NCAA tournament for 2 years. For 2 years. Yeah. Because the NCAA tournament got canceled. And then, they probably could have played it last year.
They probably could.
And been fine. Yeah. This year would be the one that had to eat it.
This year they're trying to do the what is it? The basically bubble the tournament.
Yeah.
Have 4 sites or 5 sites, and 4 of them for each division of the tournament, and then 1 site for the Final 4.
Well, they've also talked about expanding it too, which I don't. The NCAA tournament, you don't need to expand. There's already too many teams because you've already got like 68. Because you start out with 64, make the big show, but you got 2 play-in games.
66.
Yeah, it's in there. There's enough.
Yeah.
And if anything needs to be expanded this year, I think it's the college football playoffs. At least go to 6 and have a bye for the top 2 teams or something.
Yeah.
At least use this year as the test pilot.
Yeah.
To see how it's going to go. Because then you could conceivably add your Power 5 guys. Don't care, Big 12, the SEC, Pac-10, all that shit. Yeah. And then 1 at-large bid. That gives your BYU's and Cincinnati's a shot. I mean, I think that would be perfect. Or even do 8, but I think 8's too many. I think 6 is the way to go. Because I think if you, and I've had this argument from day one, if you won a fucking Power 5 conference championship, you deserve, especially since it's a playoff system. I don't give a fuck how shitty your conference was that year. Yeah. I mean...
Yeah, maybe. I mean, what, BYU's going to win their conference with like a 9 or 10-0 record?
Well, they're not even in a conference. They're an independent school.
I thought they were playing with the Mountain West this year.
Who
are they playing in conference game? Who are they playing with then?
That's why their schedule got so fucked.
Well, but they're still playing it. They're 8-0 right now.
Mountain West is where they started, but they became an independent.
Yes, but I thought they were playing games with a conference this year, like Notre Dame is with the ACC.
No, Notre Dame is full on ACC now.
Just for this season.
But in every sport but football.
Yes.
Because they're going to maintain independence. But Brigham Young, they maintained independence throughout this, and their schedule got destroyed.
Who are they playing games against then?
Whoever they can find. That's why they played like Central Alabama this week.
Oh, okay.
They had a brutal schedule lined up, and then COVID just fucking blew it all up because they were going to play like USC. They were going to play a couple SEC schools. They were going to play. They were going to fucking play it right. Yeah. And it just got destroyed. And then now they're playing whoever will fucking pick up the phone. Yeah. But no, they maintained independence. Notre Dame, they're ACC in every sport but football. Yeah. But they're going to go with conference this time because they have no choice because that's how they can't go outside conference to play. Yeah. And BYU should have been like, hey, we'll play with Pac-12. Or something.
Well, the Pac-12 wasn't going to play originally when the season started.
But see, exactly. But see, that's the thing about the ACC, though. Notre Dame was already in bed with them with every other sport. Yeah. So you might, and they do play a faux ACC schedule. They just don't play in the tournament and in the championship game. Well, they will this year. But before then, they just played, the Clemsons, Miamis, and whoever.
Yeah, the ones they wanted to pick and choose from.
Yeah,
yeah.
But they kept it in conference. So
I definitely think that.
I mean, what's your thoughts on a 16 playoff? I mean,
a 16 to me, I would. The thing that worries me about the playoff system getting too big is the time between games.
Sure.
And there's.
But you could also think out the quarter of a million bowl games.
There's a giant, from end of tournament or end of season to the playoffs starting anyways. There's a big
it's
gap.
like two and a half, 3 weeks.
You could squeeze the gaps closer, but I would say this year I would want to see an 8-game or 18 tournament, and basically the top 2 seeds have a bye, and you're playing the bottom 4 seeds play each other.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I guess the top 4 seeds have a bye.
Or have one play-in game or some shit.
Well, the top 4 seeds would have a bye, and the bottom 4 teams play each other to play the 3 and 4, and then the winners play.
Well, that would be fair, and see that would give.
And then you give.
That would give your Cincinnatis and your BYU's a chance.
Yeah.
To,
the only problem with that is then you've got teams playing 3 games versus teams playing 1 game. And so. But if you want to be that team that gets a 2-round bye, basically, then. Win all your fucking games and get ranked high.
Exactly.
So
that's the thing. I mean, and every sport does it that way. Mm. Even Division II football does it that way.
Yeah.
So why can't? It's all about the money. You know.
Well, you can still have all your other bowl games.
I wouldn't even have all of them. I'd cut it in half.
And
who wants to watch the Dollar General Bowl with Central Tennessee and Middle Arkansas?
Somebody, they have it every year. Let kids play football. I mean, I don't care. Let them have 300 bowl games.
It does fill a lot of.
You just turn some of those bigger bowl games into feeders for the bowl system.
Well, you just put them into the championship.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's these bigger games. Like Cotton Bowl has to be one of them. Orange.
Yeah.
Not Sun Bowl. Orange.
Who are the? So what are the bowl games now?
Orange, Fiesta, Rose. Orange, Fiesta, Rose. Forgetting. Cotton is a rotating playoff one, and Peach, and in Georgia.
So is it the Rose Bowl, Peach Bowl, Sun Bowl?
No, Fiesta.
Fiesta Bowl. Yeah. And what's the other one? Oh, no, I just said orange.
Cotton.
No. What's the playoff bowls?
No, the playoff bowls are rotating between Orange, Cotton, Fiesta, Rose. Peach.
So the Cotton Bowl is one of the championship bowl games? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because back in the BCS days, you had your New Year's games, which was the Rose Bowl, Fiesta Bowl, Orange Bowl. And it wasn't Cotton. It wasn't one of the big ones. Can't remember what the other big one was. That's driving me crazy.
What? Okay, so the bowls are... Big bowls were Florida and Georgia. Isn't there one in Arizona?
Yeah, that's the Fiesta Bowl.
It's the Fiesta Bowl, okay. And then Rose Bowl's in California.
Yeah.
That's the 4. Peach.
Peach doesn't count though.
I thought the Peach Bowl was
one of the big ones. No.
Yeah.
But anyway, there was those big ones, and then they were the BCS, and then you play. Oh no, that's what it was. It rotated between the 3. You had those 3 bowl games, and then the BCS championship was played at one of those 3 rotating sites. That's where it come from. So yeah, it was always Orange, Fiesta, and Rose. Those were your big ones because OU wanted. Anytime the OU was in the Orange Bowl, it was on. That was how we rolled. And then Fiesta Bowls and whatnot. But yeah, keep those bowls, and then roll the bigger playoff into the playoff bowl, and you got it. But I don't know. They're probably not going to do that, so it doesn't fucking matter.
Well, I mean, how many? So there's the Power 5, right?
Yes.
You could do a 6-game bowl game easy. Power 5, and then
one at large.
You're at large. That's not
one
of
the
Power 5 because everybody's got a championship game now. Yeah. So you either win your championship or you're out. Yeah. And then your highest ranked independent smaller conference.
Yeah. And that'll fit Cincinnati in there. That'll fit Brigham Young in there.
You can do those easy, but if you don't win your conference, you're out. That's like the pre-qualifier to make the playoffs.
And that
you
makes
win
sense.
Your conference tournament.
Because what's the fucking point of playing for the conference if you're going to come in as a number 2 team in the conference?
Yeah.
All it takes is getting hot. You shouldn't be rewarded for being number 2.
Yeah.
You know, that's the way I look at it. You don't deserve it.
Yeah.
That's why it always pissed me off. We're like, oh, we got 2 SEC schools in here. Oh, fuck you. No.
Yeah.
You know, when there's 2 other conference champions out there that are worthy. So, yeah, that's the way I look at it. Win your championship, you're guaranteed a spot. And then, you know, you get the 6th man in there, be it...
The Cinderella slot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, that would give the UCFs of the world a shot at going in there and, you know, undefeated. You know, because the last time they were undefeated, they kicked the dog shit out of Auburn.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so they could run with the big boys.
Yeah.
You know, they deserved a swing at it. But that's the thing, though. You don't want those schools to go in there and embarrass your Alabamas and things like that.
Yeah.
Because there's not no money in that.
Yeah.
You know. But, man, it would be a great story.
Yeah.
But, you know, NCAA wants to stay away from that shit as big as they can. Because then you got to be like, well, we got to start putting more money in these smaller conferences because there's actually talent there. But you look at those Florida schools, man. Florida is just running. Florida and Texas or California are just running over with talent.
Yeah.
You know, that's why they've always been those hotbed of football talent. There's no question. You know, if you look at the top recruiting schools in the country every year, those 3 states teams lead it, and then there's Alabama.
Yeah.
You might get Oklahoma in there every now and then, but you know, traditionally, and 90% of the Oklahoma kids come from Texas.
Yeah.
So, anyway, yeah.
No, they're it'll be interesting to see. There's a couple of local Texoma kids that are getting. Talking about the recruiting out of Texas.
Yeah.
There's some local Texoma kids out now, like Pottsboro and Denison and stuff like that are getting recruited by some of the Power 5 conferences, like Oklahoma State. Texas is after, I think, the Denison running back and stuff. So it'll be interesting. We may start seeing some more familiar names from this area playing in the next few years.
That would be all right. So. Get a few in there, but just support them. You know, that's the main thing.
That's like talking about UTSA. That kid from Kingston, Jacob Germany, plays for them.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to play OU in a scrimmage the other night. It's the one that got canceled.
No.
But he played. They played 2 games this weekend. The first game of the season, he had 22 and 15.
Nice.
And then he only played 14 minutes in the second game, but it was a back-to-back right at the beginning of the season. It kind of looked like maybe he didn't play the starters a lot.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, first game of the season, he had 22 and 15.
Well, keep in mind, Silo's got a couple D1 pitchers too. They got one kid at OU and they got one at Wichita State. So
they have one at OU. I didn't know they were at OU. I knew they had one go to Wichita State, and they had one go to
Arkansas.
No, this is a JUCO in Kansas. I can't think of the name, but they went to a JUCO that like wins the national title a lot. It always goes to the playoffs and stuff. Like a high-end feeder school.
Yeah, they've got one at OU now. He's in the rotation. So, you know, high school kids are in here starting to.
Well, baseball's always been a sport in this area that if you want to follow, baseball and softball have always had kids going off to college. It's just a matter of
who, what, when, and where.
Well, and if they are burned out or not.
There's that too, because that's all they do.
So that's why I'm not a huge fan of pushing your kid to be a superstar at t-ball, because you know, if you do want him to play college ball, and if he wants to play college ball or she wants to play college ball, it's a 15-year deal. Don't burn him out at year 5.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't make it a job.
Yeah, right on, for sure.
So, but luckily this week's been slow, other than the typical COVID-related cancellations for sports. There hadn't been a lot.
No.
It's kind of been a Thanksgiving week and kind of been slow. And
that's a good thing, though.
Yeah, no, we needed it. I think a lot of people needed it.
Yeah, something to get away from.
It'll be interesting in the next couple of weeks to see if there's a major spike from the holiday or not.
Oh, yeah, you know there will be.
So, well, I know there will be among normal population. I just mean like sports interfering.
Oh, you know there will be.
So
you know there will be.
I think
because it's already picked up. I think in a couple of weeks, I think it's going to be a drastically different looking field.
My worry is more the Christmas break. You know, high schools are going to be let out for 2.5 weeks. No schools in general. no control of the kids for those 2.5 weeks.
Well,
no supervision. I think by January we'll be back to where we were.
I'm surprised
last year, where we're canceling schools and everything's virtual. There's no more sports, and
I'm surprised that we haven't already got to that point, because a lot of the, every county school shut down, and I figured the colleges would follow suit. Now we've been out for 3 weeks now, so maybe we'll see, if it picks up.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that Durant went back, but really, well, I guess probably the week we'll see is next week. How many cases
within the next 2 to 3 weeks.
How many cases come up because of Thanksgiving? And
get
Thanksgiving
a
weekend.
real feel for it.
Yeah.
You're gonna get a real feel, and your virus protection is all over the place.
I don't know what the fuck's going on.
But anyway, I guess we can sign off.
Top 10 lists are done. Sports are updated. A week away from the political hell.
Yeah, it's coming.
So I guess everybody watches this, comment your top 10 list.
For sure.
Ideas for the next couple podcasts. I think we're going to try to stay away from some of the heavier stuff in politics worlds and spend a little more time doing just some funny, lighter-hearted.
Been a kick in the nuts.
Yeah.
So need to give it a rest. Maybe wait till about January 20th.
Yeah.
Then we'll see how it goes. Until then. But one thing I want to bring up, if any of our listeners have any stickers or anything, what we're doing is we're covering our table here with stickers. You can see, if you're watching the video, you can see Cheech and Chong over here. We've got a few, but if y'all want to get a sticker on the table, by all means, contact us and send us something. And we'll stick it on there.
Yep.
So, anyhow, y'all be safe out there, and we're going to sign off. Follow us, like us. You know the gig.
Yep.
Just do it. Y'all have fun. See ya.